Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome back to another video, and we are continuing the Sherlock Holmes, the Case of the Silver Earring playthrough on our channel, the Let's Play that we've started recently. And today is gonna be the final episode of the series because we are so close to finding the killer, so close to figuring this whole thing out. Let's finally find the killer of Mr. Sir Bromsby. If you guys aren't already, please do consider subscribing. It'll help me out a lot and help grow this channel further. It is free after all, and also hit the notification bell next to it so you're notified when the next video goes live. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today and subscribing, and let's get on with the video. So here we are. We know a couple of things already. We know that Lavinia Bromsby is wanted as the prime suspect. We have Grimble, who's a possible suspect. We have Collins, who's a possible suspect. Richards, who we're meeting now at Aston's theater, the Fairfax theater company. So let's head on in, question this guy, ask him some stuff.
We are not open to the public yet, gentlemen.
They're practicing their play.
I can hardly believe my eyes. It is the young Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Watson, allow me to present Philotomy Kirby, who in his day was one of the last great hopes of the popular stage. He also took great pains to advance my comprehension of the many subtleties of the theatrical arts.
Okay, what's about the troupe?
The Fairfax theatre troupe.
2 months ago, they returned from an international tour.
Okay.
Richards, their director, had managed to secure the necessary funds to buy back Aston's. Your star actress marries an emir. Another time, the entire troupe has their luggage stolen.
Oh, okay.
Anything is possible, and whatever occurs is usually nothing good. Their last tour started about 3 years
3 years ago.
At that time, the troupe was housed at the Fairfax Theatre. But a series of failures forced the owners to sell it at a
Yeah, and then Bromsby bought it, right?
The owners were 3 individuals.
Dwight Richards. Oh, Miss Davenport, the owner of the earring.
Their star actress, and the
Mistress of Dwight Richards,
and
okay.
lastly, a young actor,
Who's Jeffries?
makeup man called Jeffries. They decided, after the sale, to launch an international tour in order to raise funds.
Okay.
Their success was assured?
Yes, the fame of English theatre is worldwide. During their travels, Jeffries and Miss Davenport developed a close relationship, which was much to the regret of the hot-headed Richards. He is a gypsy by birth.
Are we allowed to say
No
that?
one can be
I don't
more
know.
possessive and quick-tempered than a gypsy.
Yikes, is that PC?
Continue. In short, a dark tragedy occurred in a village in Latin America,
Okay.
located not far from the Amazon.
Latin America.
One evening, after their performance, someone noticed that Miss Davenport and Jeffries had gone missing.
Uh-oh. Okay, they've gone
Local
missing.
authorities were notified, and
Alarm
alarm
was
was raised. However, there was no proof of his involvement, and no bodies were ever
No
found.
bodies were ever found.
Strange
Okay.
case.
If
They
you need
disappeared.
more details, you should ask the actors.
After his return, Mr. Richards bought the theatre back from the bank,
Hmm.
and I do hope his good fortune will continue.
Tell us about this international tour.
Yeah, we want to know more
performed in
because
France, in
Davenport.
Switzerland, and even for an Arab prince. We were met
So Switzerland was where Davenport met Lavinia Bromsby.
in New York, but fate had other plans for us. Events took place in a most sordid place in
Brazil?
named
Guacamole?
or
Guacayamo?
or something like that.
Isn't that where Will Collins or Wyatt Collins went to disappear for a while? Went to jail as well.
To be brief, our talented
You see,
costume
things are
artist,
connecting
Mr.
here,
Jeffries,
overlapping.
had been having a tete-a-tete with the beautiful Miss Davenport. Unfortunately, she was still very much the mistress of our director, Mr. Richards.
I wonder who Mr. Richards is, where he is. He might be in the area. Mr. Jeffries and Miss Davenport went missing, yeah.
After the performance ended, it was impossible to find them. Then we heard that Mr. Richards was arrested on suspicion of murder.
Whoa,
regarding Miss Davenport and Mr.
okay,
Jeffries.
hold on.
We were outraged and most indignant. Some entertained thoughts that we would never leave that god-forsaken place.
Whoa, okay,
How was the
so
matter resolved?
Fortunately for Mr. Richards and all of us, the prison warden and the local chief of police wasn't English.
okay, hold this phone for a moment.
Or even a corpse. The
This is getting
accusations
interesting.
against Mr. Richards could not
Stand.
stand. He was set free on the
Huh?
spot. I think that had it not been for the intervention of that young expatriate, we might have been stranded in that Amazonian swamp for all eternity.
Miss Davenport was nothing more than an aging woman who adored seeing all the men at her feet.
She's a little
What?
jealous.
Don't you mean...
She toyed with both Richards and Jeffries like two little puppets. Dwight Richards is quick-tempered, but he wouldn't harm a hair on her head. And if you are eager to be so helpful, please
Ooh, hold on.
buy my
Red-haired wig.
red-haired wig.
Forgive and admire.
Ask about the
Elizabeth,
earring,
but
yeah.
Your earring is absolutely magnificent.
Oh, that was a gift from Veronica. She
Huh?
got it along with 2 other matching earrings and a small jewel case. She gave me this one, another to Doris, and kept the most useful for herself.
Veronica.
Veronica insisted on cleansing it herself weekly with a special cleanser. It was remarkable and kept the earring all sparkling like stars. When I saw her last, Veronica was wearing her earring. She never parted with it.
My friend. My best friend, Veronica.
Veronica.
I love like my own daughter. She gave it to me.
Okay.
My little Veronica. She... Veronica.
Do you know what has happened to your friend?
Left. She left with that Jeffries. Oh, I know what they say. That Richards murdered them both. Why not? He did everything for them. Everything. He made them actors. Yes, actors.
Okay, so don't know why they would be killed by them.
Through the flying dragons of the Virgin Islands, the land of gargantuan man-eating crabs, love in the heart of the Black Desert.
Interesting.
This author seems to be particularly inept.
What about this item? Something interactable here? Alright. We got some stuff. Costumes inventory.
There are 30 listed.
Okay. So yeah, this statement is just how the white people are destroying the tribal communities and the indigenous peoples, just like taking their land, taking their stuff, offering stuff for trade, but then giving like alcohol to them for in exchange, and that's causing problems for the indigenous peoples, cutting down the Amazon or cutting down trees for their benefit. That is angering those people. So this says that it's a possible bloodbath that will end the interaction between the two. Let's see if there's other stuff we can interact with. There are some clothing articles here that I'm interested in, perhaps.
But I count only 29.
Okay, there we go.
Yes,
Officer uniform
the
is missing.
artillery officer uniform is missing.
The one where we found the button, remember, in the Bromsby mansion? In whatever thing it's called. Why is that? Okay. We'll go through there.
Who is it?
Mr. Richards, my name is Sherlock Holmes.
I will not lie to you. I hated Bromsby. He is the cause of all my troubles, I swear. I have often dreamed of killing Bromsby with my own 2 hands.
Ooh.
But I didn't kill him. What would he be doing there? Well, in the days of the Fairfax Theatre, I once employed a Chinese fellow who went by that name. However, I was forced to dismiss him because
Ooh,
he was a
great deal
deal
of trouble. What
I
kind?
have never seen him since that time.
You retained several keys from the Fairfax Theatre, don't you?
Well, I don't understand the purpose of your questions, but yes, there were
Oh,
indeed
2
2
keys.
to the
So one is
Fairfax
with
Theatre
Grimble.
main door.
Another
When
one is
the bank
somewhere.
took possession, we gave only one of them to Bromsby's assistant.
Mhm.
When asked, we lied and said there was only 1 key. Well, we kept the other one out of spite. We had thoughts of returning in the night and wreaking havoc, but we had no opportunity, as we left for abroad after the transfer to go on our tour. I suppose the key may have been lost somewhere along
Okay,
our
someone
travels.
took it and then is committing these crimes. Yeah, maybe the earring?
This can't be possible. How did you come by this? Dear God, if only someone like yourself had been present that evening.
Maybe we can ask about the
Please
tragedy
tell us
now.
what's
Yes.
happened.
That night, after the performance, I left to stroll alone
Okay.
along the riverbank. The next morning, I had barely returned when I was seized by
Yeah,
two
and then he
local
got
policemen and led
investigated,
to a
yeah.
prison cell for interrogation. When I got there, an Englishman, the local chief of police, told me that a deserted boat had been discovered along the opposite bank of the river. Inside
Okay.
the boat, I found a
Star covered with blood.
It belonged to Veronica.
Okay.
Who vanished, along with my other partner,
Jeffries. Two of them
And then what
disappeared.
happened?
Maybe they.
No one could
I
prove
don't know.
my innocence, but they also found no proof of my complicity in these events, nor had they found any bodies.
This man is a wonderful actor.
He's making stuff up,
Maybe,
huh?
Watson. Maybe.
Let's ask
What are
what
you
he's doing.
My job, my lord. I'm making this jumble look a bit neater. I don't really know much of what happened. You see, I was alone at a tavern that night, and I was, as one could say, very fond of the local alcohol. When I returned to our lodgings, I learned that the actress and the costumier had taken to their heels.
And what did you do then?
I made my way to the inn with all haste to learn what they'd taken in their sudden departure. You must understand my position. I was solely responsible for the security of the luggage and troop properties. Can you then imagine my surprise when I saw that nothing was
Nothing
missing?
was missing. Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
And what of
I
Dwight
don't know.
Richards?
I learned that Mr. Richards had been seized by the local authorities. It seemed he was under suspicion for the murder of the missing lovers. This was too incredible. And then there's another odd thing that weighs on my mind.
Okay.
When we finally returned to England, Mr. Richards asked me to do him a small personal
What was that?
service. What was strange was that he insisted I keep the matter confidential and not breathe a word of it to anyone.
What kind
Okay.
of service?
What is this?
Well, there's a small room with an iron door located above the backstage. It was used to store the stage lights and fireworks. He asked me to help him move all of Miss Veronica's personal belongings to the room. Every little thing, without exception.
Closed. Closed.
Shame. Okay, so this is the iron door, I believe, that's closed. Maybe we need to somehow get that key from the lad. Alright, so we can talk to this lad again and then get some stuff.
She's fabulous, isn't she?
Complete set of keys,
You
that's
have
us.
a complete set of
Ask him.
keys to the theatre?
Oh, yes. Take them. But you will see to their safe return.
Of course. Okay, here we go. Let's try and open the door now. I think we can. Attaboy.
Watson, stay there and inform me if Richards arrives. Let us see whether we can find other evidence. A gift from the god. I need something. Nice pattern made of encrusted nacre. What does it mean? This lock has never been forced.
Oh, okay, there we go.
To open the safe, I must have the two other earrings.
Okay, so we need the other earrings. Yikeroonies. Perhaps showing her the earring will give us some
Oh my stars.
help.
Would you mind lending me your earring? I shall give it back to you in a few moments.
Certainly. Maybe you would like to borrow Doris's earring as well. I don't believe she would give it to you, but to me, certainly. If you wait here,
Okay.
I'll get it for you.
Two birds, one stone. Let's go. Okay, we got both earrings then, right? Alright, here we go. Let's try to stick these earrings in the right places.
It is
Ah.
elementary.
There we go. We opened it.
Descriptions of exotic landscapes. Nothing of interest.
This
Richards
photo
and
seems
Miss
important.
Davenport standing in front of the old Fairfax Theatre. But who is this third man?
We'll see. Oh, we got all the evidence. Alright.
Well, well, gentlemen, you arrive at precisely the right moment.
Is your
We were
work
already
a
here.
sign that you have something of interest?
Okay.
Absolutely, Holmes. It
We
seems
got
to me
it
I
all.
caught the right end this time.
What? Really?
We learned about it only by chance. It appears that at 1 o'clock this morning,
Morning.
Grimble arranged for his solicitors to send his demands to the court for
Okay.
the appropriation of Bromsby Enterprises. Then I
In-
followed your
okay.
advice and we advanced further into our investigation of Mr. Richards. Did you know that his true name is
Gaetano Ricardino.
As this,
Okay.
Mr. Ricardino, at age 19, he was sentenced
2
to 2
years imprisonment for armed robbery.
of a fair stall.
Whoa.
And who would you think the complainant was in this case? In truth, a certain Melvin
Wilbin Bromsby. Okay, so there's a
New evidence of his
huge
criminal
rift
past
between
makes him
these two
another
guys.
principal suspect in these murders.
Okay.
It would seem that Grimble and Richards are old associates.
Okay.
They were both intimately involved in the sale and transfer of the Fairfax
Okay.
Theatre. These two make quite a pair, don't you agree?
If I had the power of Scotland Yard at my disposal, I would take all steps necessary to ensure that Mr. Richards is secure within a prison cell. And the sooner the better for all concerned.
Okay.
When the case involves murder, It is not wise to underestimate any possibilities.
This is most fortuitous, as Miss Bromsby also invited me to the hall. I was told they had good news to share, and it seems to me an engagement announcement must be at hand.
Uh-oh.
So we shall see you tomorrow. Let us return to Baker Street. Regarding the question of whether Lestrade is correct, I will give you 2 items that should provide the answer that you seek. The first is a table representing the shoe sizes of the main characters in this case. Examine it carefully, Watson.
Okay, so here we go. This is our puzzle. Oh, kid's here. The brigade.
A parcel for you, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, this would be Mycroft. Here is the final piece, which completes our puzzle, Watson.
Would this be the second element?
The second clue is a question. The question is as follows. Watson, do you think that Horace Fowler slept with a cushion?
Photo. There's one lad here, and then that's Ricardinho, and then Miss Davenport, and then some guy. It was found that the brawl was the cause of his unfortunate demise. The date of his funeral service is okay. Harrington 9, Horace Fowler is a 6, and Miss Bromsby and Miss Lambert are 4s. I can't believe that you would take it all back. Everything cannot be finished between us. Okay, so this is a note from someone. Alright, so the final quiz before we enter the final stage of the game. So, are there several set of keys from the Aston Theatre? That is a yes, because we had Bruce Aston give us a set. And then question 2, did one of the actresses lose a red-haired wig? Yes, because Miss Sullivan was asking for a red wig. Please find it. Then question 3, could the discovery in the dressing room be connected to the case? That is a yes, because remember on day 1 when we were at the scene of the crime, in the kitchen near the dustbin, someone lost an interesting button from an artillery uniform, which is the one that is missing from the 30 listed on the inventory. And then, could the writing on the message to Veronica Davenport be found elsewhere? That's a yes, because we found the French visit card as well as an antique dealer, both connected to Veronica. So, everything's a yes. We should be good. Let's go.
Simplicity itself, Watson.
Yes.
We have answered all the questions.
Congratulations, you have successfully completed your investigation. The following questions are optional, and you do not have to answer them correctly to reach the last step of the game. Who killed Sir Bromsby? Well, it has to be Lieutenant Harrington or Lieutenant Harrington because of his shoe size as well as the story doesn't match up. Who killed Horace Fowler? I think that's Collins. He does have a history of foulness between Follett and Bromsby, so I think he's the one who killed him. Johansson, I believe, is Jeffries. Oh yeah, Jeffries' name was Spencer, wasn't it? His name was Spencer. So Spencer killed Johansson, Spencer killed Veronica, Jeffrey Spencer, that was nobody, he's still alive and well. And then Hunter, that was Harrington, I believe. Oh, it just moves on. Let's see. We're sitting back and enjoying the movie, I guess. Let's see what happens. Did I get it right?
I wish Lieutenant Harrington could be here now, but...
He had to leave for London on a very urgent business.
But how could you know?
It is my business to know, Miss Bromsby. Thus, I am able to tell you about the case of the silver earring.
Interesting.
It begins on that sad afternoon.
Okay.
Which was to celebrate your birthday.
Get shot.
Ended with the untimely death of your father. Miss Bromsby, you did not murder your father. I kissed your hand that day and did not detect even the slightest smell of gunpowder.
That's true.
I also discovered powder traces that proved the shot was fired from behind the second side door. You were not seen at that door, but where did the murderer go after taking his shot? Everyone who tried to exit through the side entrance found it blocked. According to witnesses and other evidence, none of the guests could have possibly been the murderer, because they were all present in the ballroom. No one left through the service door, and traces confirm that no one could have fled by using the staircase.
That's correct.
The windows in the kitchen, as elsewhere,
It's a very closed room murder.
Bars, thus, they offered no escape.
Yeah.
So did he vanish into thin air?
No, he's still in the room.
In fact, one of the parties did leave the ballroom and went to the kitchen corridor. He left to meet his accomplice, who was not an invited guest. This accomplice was a professional actor who was disguised to resemble our missing invitee. This guest hid under voile in the shadow of a statue and waited for his moment. Meanwhile, his twin acted out his part in the ballroom and provided the murderer with a perfect alibi. When the killer heard the applause, he left his hiding place, aimed, took his shot, and hit his target. It is
Huh.
important to know that the actor was well placed at the manor. He secured entry to the manor by impersonating a French head waiter. Using his
Okay.
position, he persuaded those in charge to use long tablecloths and to arrange the tables in a most peculiar manner. When the shooting occurred, our actor joined the crowd and rapidly crept across the room, concealed under the tables. As he neared the side door, he rose from beneath the last table and acted as if he had been jostled and fallen. However, as he stood, he accidentally snagged a small piece of his dirty glove from a
Ooh.
chair.
Okay.
When he arrived at the door, which was held closed by the murderer, he tapped on it using a prearranged code and was allowed entry. He exited to the corridor while his partner continued to hold the door shut against all others. The actor discarded his disguise in the deep kitchen well, helped himself to 2 bottles of excellent whiskey, and quietly went outside. The assassin waited several minutes. Then, in the last seconds of the confusion, he returned to the ballroom. Thus, we have the crime committed by an individual whom everyone swears was in the room when the shot was fired.
But this agrees with my conclusions. Richard is an actor, and everyone swears that Grimble was in the room. I didn't consider the course of events as you described, Holmes, but admit it, our deductions agree. Moreover, both of these suspects are similar in size and manner.
Your theory presumes that Grimble is an excellent shot, which is false. It also takes on faith that Sir Bromsby had discovered the misappropriations, supplying Grimble his motive. But irrefutable proof that neither Grimble nor Richards were guilty waited at Horace Fowler's. The matter of his pillow.
But there was
Yeah,
no
the pillow's the
Horace
weirdest thing.
Fowler's.
Nevertheless, Mr. Fowler slept with one. When I arrived at his home, I believed him already dead. Therefore, the news of his hasty departure came as no surprise.
Yeah.
From the evidence obtained at his home and the statements of his neighbour, I learned the following. On the evening of his death, Mr. Fowlett was visited by a man who desired to sell him some exotic trifle. While this man distracted Mr. Fowlett, a second man quietly crept into the house and tried to open his safe.
Yeah.
This individual was well acquainted with the house and the location of the safe. But when he failed to open it, he most likely became enraged and killed Mr. Fowlett. This individual, Miss Bromsby, was your cousin, Wyatt Collins, who returned to England under the name Johansson.
Johansson! Alright, there we go. That's the connection we needed.
Vanished. Later, Dr. Watson discovered a feather from the pillow in the train compartment used by the man.
Oh, so that's what it was.
But
Okay.
why did Fowlett's impersonator take the pillow, and why didn't the station manager notice it? Mr. Fowlett was short, but very portly. In order to imitate him, the man
They
used
stole the pillow.
to create the appearance of a slighter man. There is no other explanation.
Okay.
This man was a much leaner man than Mr. Fowlett, Mr. Grimble, or Mr. Richards.
Then, Holmes, who did murder Sir Bromsby? And for what
Harrington.
reason?
You'll see this straight when it's a question of multiple murders. Except for the deviant ones, there are 2 primary motives, revenge and greed.
Yeah.
Wyatt Collins' presence at
Was a
Fowler's
revenge.
tells us his motive was about Bromsby's wealth.
Oh,
He went
money.
there for the express
But also
purpose of
revenge, no?
stealing the will so that he would receive at least a portion of Bromsby's estate. If his uncle had died with no will found, Collins would have been entitled to a share of the inheritance under English law.
But if my cousin failed in his attempt and the evidence clears my name, though I am to inherit, why were my father and cousin murdered? Besides, tomorrow I am to announce my engagement and will be married soon.
Holmes, hold on. There is a flaw in your reasoning. There is only one key for the door to the cement factory, and Grimble is the only person known to have it. So he must be directly involved in the murder of Johansson.
No, but there was that extra
Is
key
that true,
that's
Lestrade?
lost.
Mr. Richards told me that there was indeed a second key which was lost. And have you forgotten the murder of the barman hunter?
Yeah.
A young man without any criminal record whose sole interests were painting
He
and
probably
flowers.
saw it.
Why was he murdered in cold blood, with no signs of forceful entry or theft at his lodgings? Simply put, he was killed because he was present when your father was murdered.
Yeah.
But why Hunter?
Because
What did he see or
he
hear?
saw something. Yeah.
And above all, how did he acquire the earring of Miss Veronica Davenport, the leading actress of the Fairfax Theatre and Dwight Richards' mistress?
I can stand this no more. My thoughts are dazed. Will you finally
This is
reveal
so
who murdered
good.
my father?
The murderer? Here he comes now. I understand your feelings of incredulity, but I have never been more serious. You must know that the first person who enters this room is the murderer of your father, Miss Bromsby, and I will provide...
How are you so sure? What if some maid walks in? Yes, we got it. We got it.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. You made the right choice to leave London. It is unbearably foggy. But Lavinia, darling, what's going on?
She knows.
But how? I mean, what? What does she know? I don't understand. Whatever do you mean?
Oh no, you
But how?
clear, Mr. Harrington, and you also, Spencer. Or
What should I say, Mr. Jeffries? It's Spencer. Yeah.
Explain yourself, Mr. Holmes. What a monstrous misunderstanding.
Oh, I've just explained myself to Miss Bromsby about the truth of her father's murder, but I can tell the story again from the very beginning. It begins several years ago. Wyatt Collins, the nephew of Mr. Bromsby, is forced by his uncle to leave England.
Yeah, because of that crime, right? Robbery crime.
Is fostered by the ingratitude he perceives in Sir Bromsby.
Yeah.
Wasn't his uncle's career financed by his
mother's money? Yeah. Because she paid for his everything, like education stuff.
Thus obliged to finance Collins' indolent lifestyle, fulfilling his every need. Here's our first criminal, Wyatt Collins.
Yep.
Then we have you, Mr. Harrington. You were a brilliant student at the military academy, and are an excellent shot, are you not?
Perfect.
You were the only person at the reception with sufficient skills to make the shot that took Sir Bromsby's life.
Yeah, because there was only one shot, not many.
I learned that ex-officers of Her Majesty's Army enjoy great favour around the world for administrative positions.
Such as prison wardens.
You left India and made your way to Brazil, where you obtained a position as warden of the prison in Guaquiamo.
Guaquiamo,
Do not try to deny your presence there. The pictures in your hunting portfolio could have been taken nowhere else in the world except Guaquiamo.
Because there's that, you know, snippet
Mr.
about
Jeffries,
Guaquiamo.
Your arrival in Guaquiamo set things in motion. The theatre company had come to Brazil as part of their worldwide tour.
And then he
had been
met
involved
Jeffries.
with the lovely Veronica Davenport and loved her with a passionate yet possessive love. However, Miss Davenport did not share your affections. She had in fact tried several times to end your affair prior to the company's arrival in Guaquiamo. It seems she was truly devoted to Dwight Richards and would never leave him.
Yeah.
After you arrived, you frequented the town's bawdier spots. This is where you first met Mr. Harrington, and you quickly became close companions. It seems tedium and heartbreak do bring certain people together. After the performance, maddened by alcohol and grief, you killed Miss Davenport because she had rejected your love. You then fled to your newfound friend, the warden, to confess your crime and beg for his help. In a show of friendship, he helped dispose of her corpse and directed suspicions towards your rival, Dwight Richards. Afterwards, you lay low, leaving the others to believe that you had been killed or had gone missing.
Yep.
You
Disappeared.
stayed hidden until they had departed, and you must have kept Miss Davenport's earring as some morbid souvenir. No doubt you also retained not only the key to the Fairfax Theatre, but
Keys.
from Aston's,
Yep.
where you had been employed several
And then
years
he
earlier.
used it as a method to
Here
start
then
killing
is our third
Collins.
felon, Mr. Jeffries. Life was difficult in Brazil for our trio. Mr. Jeffries rarely went out, Mr. Harrington's men were talking behind his back, and Mr. Collins' funds were inadequate.
Yeah.
One evening, Collins spoke of his cousin, who, in a few months' time, was to return to England from finishing school. She was also the
Yeah,
sole
and that
heir of
is
one of the greatest fortunes in England.
Lavinia.
Imagine these three men besotted with alcohol, considering the wealth that would one day pass to this slip of a girl. A terrible plan was devised. Several days later, they left for England, false papers for two of their party in hand, resolved to seize a portion, if not all, of this great inheritance.
Yikes.
Incredible.
One
Yes,
giant
incredible,
robbery.
and horribly true. At first, their plan was to forge a duplicate will or destroy the original, so that Mr. Collins would receive a share of the estate. This would happen soon enough, as they would murder Sir Bromsby at his daughter's birthday reception. It was essential that Collins enter the country under false papers, so that neither his uncle nor the authorities would be alerted to his presence in England. This would avoid any suspicion attaching him for his uncle's death when he arrived to claim his inheritance. They quickly put their plans into effect. Mr. Jeffreys arrived at the household in the guise of a stylish French head waiter and studied the lay of the manor. Mr. Harrington, the assassin, would accompany a person with rather poor eyesight to the reception, so that the illusion
He
of
wouldn't
the
be,
fake Mr. Harrington
yeah,
would go
caught out.
unchallenged.
Yeah.
As the head waiter, Jeffreys was in a unique position to study the guest list. He quickly learned that two of the guests, Miss Rowntree and Colonel Patterson, had both poor eyesight and were unaccompanied. Lieutenant Harrington was quite busy in the days before the reception. He courted Miss Rowntree with great dedication and made fast friends with the Colonel. He hoped to secure one, if not two, invitations to the reception. Your arrival as the Colonel's guest was your first error, Harrington. Is it credible that a young officer who left the army because of his hatred towards all military authority would easily befriend a man who embodies everything that he detests? But your efforts bore fruit, and you obtained your invitation. Mr. Jeffreys, as head waiter, took great care that the tables and tablecloths were arranged specifically to accommodate their schemes. Mr. Jeffreys then secured the disguise for his role as the false Lieutenant Harrington. He remembered that an officer's uniform, similar to Lieutenant Harrington's, and a red wig, identical to the colouring of the lieutenant's hair, were in storage at the Fairfax Theatre.
And they stole
He
it.
learned that the company had taken up residence at the site of the old Aston Theatre, for which he still had the key. It was therefore a simple matter for him to acquire these items for his masquerade. They now only lacked the will, which Mr. Collins presumed was kept at Flowlet's house. Their plan was to take these papers prior to the murder of Sir Bromsby, so that Flowlet would be unaware of either their presence or substitution until it was too late. But things went badly. Mr. Jeffreys tried to divert Mr. Flowlet, but he must have been alerted by some noise, as Collins struggled vainly to open the safe. Upon being discovered, Collins killed Flowlet on the spot. The two conspirators then left the house in such a way that witnesses believed it was Flowlet himself who had left. They would now have to find another way to get hold of the money, because no doubt Sir Bromsby had disinherited Collins in favour of his daughter. They decided to take the money from his daughter, a young, naive and vulnerable young woman. On the day of reception, Mr. Harrington arrived with Jeffreys, disguised as his servant Spencer and the Colonel. With the promise of whiskey, Jeffreys easily secured the unwitting aid of two fellow servants and assumed a position at his service door. He wagered that he could pinch 2 or 3 good bottles of liquor from the kitchen if his companions would cover for him. I have just explained what happened next. After the shooting, he took 2 bottles of excellent whiskey. Only someone knowledgeable would have taken these 2 bottles over the others, and Mr. Jeffreys had been formerly employed at a luxurious hotel in France. Upon his return, he gave an accounting to his fellow servants, did his hair, and left the manor. The promised delivery of the liquor and his frightened look secured the 2 men's cooperation in providing his alibi. They could not have known his true role in these events. The one problem for the conspirators was the barman Simon Hunter. He had perfect
He was the
eyesight,
missing,
unlike
yeah.
the Colonel,
He was the missing.
and realized that the man who claimed to be near the bar at the time of the murder had in fact lied. He hinted as much to Mr. Harrington and most certainly intended blackmail. As they were short on funds, the accomplices gave him Miss Davenport's earring as collateral and pledged to return with the money he demanded. That night, when Lieutenant Harrington visited us in London, he had just come from Simon Hunter's. Hunter
Killing him.
told Harrington that the
That's,
earrings
yeah, I was like, why is he there?
reveal the name of the shop
Makes no
unless
sense.
Harrington paid him
That's
his money.
why.
Mr. Harrington ruthlessly killed Hunter, and the earring so precious to Mr. Jeffreys was lost. Earlier that morning, Jeffreys lured Collins to the cement factory on the pretext of fabricating false evidence against Grimble. But they no longer needed Collins to acquire the Bromsby fortune. Mr.
So they killed
Harrington
them
would
off.
wed the young heiress, then, after a reasonable time, they would cause her untimely death, and they would take it all. So Mr. Jeffreys murdered Collins and made sure his body was barely recognizable. If he was identified, it would not affect their plans, as they believed leaving the corpse at the cement factory would direct suspicion towards Grimble.
Of
When
course.
Mr. Harrington came to see us, he learned we were hot on Collins' trail and had traced his movements up to the factory. He assumed he would go there within the hour and left to quickly round up his associates and devise a plan. Jeffries, from his days at the Fairfax Theatre, knew an Asian of questionable talents who had no visible ties with this case and could attack us without drawing suspicion their way. We avoided this attack, and from that moment I was convinced of Lieutenant Harrington's involvement in the conspiracy.
Oh, okay.
The last elements of proof were revealed at the vagrant's camp near the monastery outside of London.
Okay.
Mr. Jeffries had tramped through England in his past and might have thought to hide Collins in the forest near the Richmond's Abbey. The very day that I was there, he tried to destroy all evidence of Collins' murder. Fortunately, he did not manage to destroy everything. It seems Collins, foreseeing his possible death, left a small surprise for his accomplices. It would be easily missed, except by someone who observes all and misses nothing.
Like Sherlock
This
Holmes.
is merely some draft to lull us to sleep, Mr. Holmes. Lavinia, surely you can't believe these mad accusations. They arise from nothing. What proof do you offer for what you say? None.
Believe what you will, Mr. Harrington. I will warn you
They
that
always
Mr.
come out
Collins
with
left
that
a
argument,
letter
don't they?
written in his own hand, which named yourself and Mr. Jeffries and accused you both of complicity in the murder of his uncle. At this very moment, Inspector Lestrade's men are conducting a search of your rooms. They will find the evidence that, when added to the accusations within this letter, will prove your guilt beyond all doubt.
Yeah.
The Chirapaqui cigarettes,
Yeah,
your
the cigarette.
portfolio, as well as a feather from the pillow which was taken from Horace Fowlett's. These items prove my deductions. I suggest we wait here for their arrival with these proofs, and I assure you our wait will be brief.
Will we
Bravo,
find a...
Mr. Holmes.
Oh, okay.
Well done. Accept my apologies, my dear Lavinia. I think under the circumstances it would be best if we postponed our engagement.
Oh,
I'm sorry
boy.
for your father, but what do you expect? We had to give it our best shot.
Haha.
Where is the earring
Psst.
now? You will tell me, where is it?
Up your ass.
Unless you tell me at once where the earring is, no one will leave this room alive. Don't you understand? You are all going to die.
Not really, because the police are coming. You guys are going to be surrounded and etc. Peekaboo,
They are all
little
yours, Lestrade. I suggest you return with your agents to
Grimble.
London as soon as possible.
Grimble.
Thank you, Mr. Grimble, for literally applying my precepts. Watson, let us escort Miss Bromsby to her rooms. She will need her rest.
Oh boy, what a story. That was intense.
Holmes.
That was quite fun.
Collins never named either Harrington or Jeffries in his letter.
Indeed, Watson, but they could not have known. I played my bluff, and they believed me.
And Grimble, where did he appear from?
You can now boast that one of the most influential men in England served as your driver. Since my visit to Fowlett's, I knew that Grimble had nothing to do with this crime. I asked him to assist with the investigation, and it was at my request that he took steps to acquire Bromsby Enterprises. He gained us precious time by forcing Harrington and Jeffries to wait and see if Miss Bromsby would inherit. He ran quite a risk in doing me this favour, because their plots then turned against him. I also asked him to send the letter which lured the two murderers away from the hall. I needed a moment to explain everything to Miss Lavinia.
Yeah,
It would be dreadful
that
if she fell
makes
into
sense.
the hands of her father's killer. From the beginning, Grimble was concerned only with saving her inheritance. He never once doubted her innocence.
Nevertheless, didn't he misappropriate those funds?
Indeed, but not for his own profit. It was solely to protect his friend Bromsby. An ex-architect with whom he had quarrelled, a Mr. Waters, had contacted Sir Bromsby before this intrigue began. Waters learned from Captain Bowie that Sir Bromsby had encouraged certain actions against workers hired to build a bridge in India. That project was the bridge over the Kalidasa Abyss. Waters blackmailed Bromsby from...
Aha,
Grimble received
okay.
the letters
So
and considered them
Grimble
serious.
protected him.
He knew his hot-tempered friend well and preferred to conceal the blackmail attempt for fear of disastrous consequences. So Grimble made regular payments to Waters in exchange for his silence. Unfortunately, Collins discovered the arrangement while he was working at the cement factory and threatened to reveal everything.
I see. That's the secret that they were hiding, okay. So he thought, Collins thought he was skimming money, like I did, but in fact it was trying to silence Waters, yeah.
He was angered, but before he could decide his next move, Mr. Waters died suddenly and removed all threat. When Grimble learned the Waters had died, he confessed all to Bromsby. He noted that the money paid was a pittance when measured against Bromsby enterprises, and that the same amount could now be applied in other ways. India had enriched them so greatly, and Bromsby had been cursed over the harm done to the Indian people in his employment. It was decided that these same funds would now be sent on a monthly basis to a Bombay orphanage in the care of a Sergeant Brahamai.
Yeah.
It was possible that Bromsby intended to.
I was curious to know what that was.
And this
So
was
it's
the
an
important
orphanage.
news he intended to reveal to the press at his daughter's reception. It was she who had harshly reproached him regarding his behaviour towards the Indians in his employ.
Yeah.
Do you remember the words from that poem which he had written into his notes?
Charity is
It
a
said
virtue.
that the ungrateful always die miserably.
Yeah.
Indeed, Holmes. But there is one thing that I still don't understand.
And
Why did you ask Lestrade to put Richards behind bars? He wasn't guilty of any crime, but you treated him as a murderer.
I advised Lestrade that it would be prudent to place Richards in custody so we could protect him from harm.
I
Mr.
see.
Richards is a wise and intelligent man. He would have recognized Harrington and Jeffries on sight. When he realized that Jeffries was alive and that I possessed the missing earring, he would have drawn the same conclusions as I. So this investigation would have been stopped cold by one or two more murders.
And stupid moves.
See.
Well, Watson, you
So
seem to
control
have-
those chess
Tell me,
pieces
please, that small
while you
missive
mess
which
around
I
with
can see
others.
on the desk. It contains 2 invitations to the opera's opening night, does it not?
Alright.
Yes, sir, we shall finally have our opportunity
Ah,
to hear this
that's it.
marvelous soprano. Well,
That
what do you
is
say?
it. What a game. Oh, that was an interesting storyline. It's a good story. Storyline was good, but the execution of the game was quite poor, I must say. But yeah, the mechanics of the game are just so poor. I mean, it's a 2004 game, what'd you expect? But click and pointing it in directions has been quite difficult sometimes. Like during that water mission, trying to put out the fire, we just couldn't get there in time because Sherlock just stopped midway and just didn't do what we wanted him to do. Storyline was okay. I think it was a splendid storyline, a nice narrative to tell all these mysteries and how it opened one page at a time. You know, like we only knew one suspect at the time, which was Lavinia, and the video pretty much showed us that it was going to be Lavinia, but then you start opening these books, finding evidence, finding broken pieces, missing pieces, and you slowly figure out that yes, there is more to the story. And then I like how it all came together in the end, how these guys were scheming some kind of robbery, a huge robbery of the Bromsby inheritance. So yeah, that was quite a journey, and that's been it. That's the Let's Play. So hope you guys enjoyed the series. It's been a lot of fun. I have more Sherlock Holmes games. Let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like to see them, because I would be happy to play it through. It's a great game to play. I've had a lot of fun with this, so I'm hoping the next couple games are also some fun and good. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like, subscribe, use the red button down below, and hit the notification bell next to it so you're notified when the next video goes live. 62% of you are not subscribed, so please do subscribe. Please do consider subscribing because it is free after all. So thank you guys for stopping by this channel, and as always, please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video.